Hi, this is a tutorial on how to use the SeedSigner device with Lace wallet. So what is SeedSigner? SeedSigner is a do-it-yourself air-gap hardware wallet. That means this, the wallet can be assembled with off-the-shelf parts that you can source yourself, and it's air-gap because it never connects to the computer or to the internet. All communications with the SeedSigner device is done through QR codes. This device has a camera module and a screen, so it can capture QR codes from the wallet and it can send back payloads using its own QR codes through the screen. The device is also completely stateless, which means every time you power on the device, it's like a start from scratch. You need to load the seeds, do whatever signing operations you want to do, and then when you power it off, then everything gets wiped out because everything runs in memory. I will show you in a bit how all this works. This is the official website of the SeedSigner project, and you can see here on the hardware section all the parts you will need to assemble the wallet. And these are parts that you can find basically anywhere. You can find it in Amazon or in different electronic stores around the world. And so you need the Pi, you need the camera module, you need the WaveShare LCD hat, which has the screen and the buttons. And yeah, the case is 3D printed, but the STL files are also made public. You can print them yourself if you have a 3D printer, or you can use any printing service. There are also some providers that sell already assembled SeedSigners, or even some kits with all the parts you need. But yeah, I always think it's better if you source the parts yourself. It will be a bit cheaper, and again, the whole point of this is that it's you can buy all these parts anonymously. If you go through a provider that specializes on selling hardware wallets, then if that database leaks or whatever, then you can be associated with this person owns cryptocurrencies, etc. So the whole point of this is that you avoid that, right? Nobody can know what you're gonna do with these parts. It's part of the security model is that it's anonymous in that regard. And yeah, it's also pretty cheap. I mean, the whole cost of these parts, if you can find them, is probably $50 or $60. You can also use other Raspberry Pis. If you have a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 laying around, it will also work. But the classic, let's say the classic configuration is this one that is here, and then there is cases for it, and yeah, you have different options. And yeah, so originally this project only supported Bitcoin, right? It was created by the Bitcoin community basically, and it was used exclusively for Bitcoin. But recently we got funding from Catalyst to build the Cardano application for this hardware wallet. So now you can use Cardano as well as Bitcoin with this device. Okay, so we're going to proceed to put together the SeedSigner. As you can see, we have here all the parts. These are all off-the-shelf parts. So this is a Raspberry Pi. This is the WaveShare hat, which has a screen and the buttons, and the camera module. And I have here the 3D printed parts. So the first thing we're going to do is insert the camera. And so the camera just plugs in here, so we need to make sure like it connects well, and then we close this lid here. I think that should be fine. And then just plug the hat. And finally, we put it here. I need to make sure like this part is a bit tricky. Okay, yeah. Then the buttons. And that's it. So now we're gonna proceed to insert the SD card with the OS image, and we're gonna sync the wallet with Lace. Next, we are going to download and flash the SeedSigner OS image onto our device. So the way the device works is that it has a SD slot, so we need to flash this OS image into SD card. The Bitcoin SeedSigner repository, which you can find here in this GitHub URL, contains, of course, the Bitcoin SeedSigner OS image. So if you want to use Bitcoin, by the way, Lace supports both Bitcoin and Cardano with the SeedSigner, you will need to download this OS image. If you want to use Cardano, you will need to download this Cardano OS image. What this means is that if you want to have access to both blockchains, you will need to have two SD cards, and whenever you want to boot and use or spend coins in one of the other blockchain, you will need to swap these SD cards, right? Remember that the SeedSigner device is completely stateless, so every time you power it on, it's basically like just started for the first time, and when you power it off, it just everything gets wiped out, right? So we decided, of course, we could have created a new OS image with both applications, but we decided that the best way is to keep things separate. So if you want to use Bitcoin, just download the Bitcoin OS image, which you can find in this repository, and you can flash the OS image following the instructions here. And if you want to use Cardano, then just download this one. And again, if you have both, then have two SD cards, flash both OS images, and then just swap SD cards whenever you want to use one blockchain versus the other. We're gonna do that now. You also have the option to build the OS image yourself, and there are instructions on the repositories, on both repositories, on how to do that. These OS images are also reproducible. That means that if you build the OS image for a specific tag, in this case, for example, version 1.1.1.0, you should generate an OS image that is exactly the same, like binary equal, right? Byte equal. Another thing that is important is that if you are going to download the pre-generated OS images for any of the two projects, you must or you should verify the signature. Every OS image that is released in both repositories is released with a specific signature that you can verify. It's not the same signature because this is maintained by two different teams. I mean, the Bitcoin SeedSigner is maintained by the SeedSigner original team, and the Cardano SeedSigner is maintained by me, basically. But make sure, like, if you're gonna use one of the pre-made OS images, you follow the steps and verify the signatures. Okay, we're gonna proceed to flash one of the images. We're gonna use this Balena etcher, but you can use any tool that allows you to flash an SD card. You can use DD or whatever you feel more comfortable with. I already had the Cardano SeedSigner image downloaded, so I'm just gonna use that. Then select my SD card and then flash. And that's done. Next, we're gonna boot our OS image into the SeedSigner device. Now we're going to proceed to create the seed QR. So the SeedSigner device is stateless. That means that once you power off the device, everything wipes out. So there are never any keys stored in the device. And of course, you could, every time you power on the device, you could just input your seed phrases again, but that's a bit inconvenient. So you can represent your seed phrases as a QR, and then every time you power on your SeedSigner, you just simply scan your QR, and then the seeds are loaded on the device until you power off again, right? And the device itself has several ways to to create new mnemonics. It could use its camera to take a picture, and then using the data from the image, it can derive some entropy. It could also aid you in creating phrases with throwing dices and so on. It has a few ways to help you to create the mnemonics, or you could just use the mnemonic you already had, right? So in this case, I already have 12 mnemonic seed words that I'm gonna use here. And I'm gonna use the device to help me create the QR code. So it's important that we do this step manually, because again, we don't want our seed phrases to touch the computer at any point. So the SeedSigner has a tool to help us create this QR code manually, right? So if we go here to backup seed, so I already input my 12 words here, and it's this seed in particular. So I'm gonna export the QR. So I'm gonna use the compact format, right? And it will show you like how will the QR look, and it has then this sliding window thing that helps you draw the QR manually, right? So you see here that it has a coordinate system. So A1 corresponds to this square, A1, and this is already pre-filled because it's always the same. And then it has A2 and A3 and so on. We need to fill in A2, B2, B1, B3, and C2 and C3, right? So we're going to proceed. I recommend you guys to don't fill the whole square, just put a dot, just simply put a dot, is enough, because if it bleeds to the next square, it will not read it correctly. So it's better to just simply put a dot on the squares that it tells you. So let's start with the first one. So A2, so it wants 1 in the third square, fourth square, okay, I just finished creating the QR code, and now we are gonna verify that the QR code was created correctly. And yeah, it's successful. You also notice that in the top part there is a fingerprint, like a hash, right? So this is the fingerprint of the seed. This fingerprint will match this QR code and the seeds inside. And if you import these seeds into the Bitcoin SeedSigner or the Cardano SeedSigner, you will always see the same hash. So that way you can identify, because you can load several seeds at the same time, so you can identify which one is which. Okay, I think we can move to the next part of the tutorial. Now we're gonna do a demonstration on how to use the SeedSigner with Lace. For this specific example, we loaded the Cardano OS image, which was the one that we flashed earlier. So we're gonna sync the SeedSigner wallet into Lace and send some transaction on the pre-prod network. So this device is already assembled with the OS image already loaded. So the first thing we need to do is to load our seed, which we created already, right? So we're gonna do that. And then that's our seed, it's already loaded. In Lace, we just click here, hardware wallet, select the SeedSigner, and for this example, we're gonna pick Cardano. If you have the Bitcoin OS image flash, then you pick Bitcoin, right? We input the password that Lace needs for the unlock screen. Okay. We are gonna export account 0 for this test. And the exchange is initiated by the wallet with a QR. So this QR will request to the wallet the extended public key. Okay, so the wallet tells us what it's trying to do. And then we need to reply to the wallet with our own QR. Okay. So this wallet doesn't have anything on mainnet. We need to switch to pre-prod. And we're gonna wait for the wallet to sync. Okay. Let's just do a self-send, since, we just wanna test the send flow. And let's send 2,500 ADA to ourselves. Okay. So it's asking us to scan this QR code. This QR code has the transaction request. So the sending amount here is 0 because it's a send to self, that's fine, and then the fee and the network, so that's all correct. Sending 2,500 ADA to ourselves, which is correct. And then this is probably a change output. You have some leftover ADA as well. Okay, everything seems correct. Fee, slot, and then it's telling us which specific key is using to sign. Seems correct. And then we just sign. Click continue here. And now we need to send our witness back to the wallet. And yeah, that's it. The transaction has been signed and submitted. Yeah, and here's the pending transaction. Okay, that's all. That's the end-to-end test or demonstration for the SeedSigner. And yeah, if you have any question or any other information that you may need, don't hesitate to contact me. Thanks.